I want to welcome everyone to the Learning Clinic on CKOD 96.7 FM. Learning Clinic's been off for a few weeks for our summer break, but we're back. And for the next couple of months, we're going to devote the topics on the Learning Clinic to sport. And in particular, during the month of August, we're going to focus on hockey. One of the new things that is happening in the Sudbury area, and it's something I'm involved in, is we're trying to promote something that's called the True Sport movement. And for a little bit of background, True Sport is a national organization that is centered in Ottawa, but it's covering the entire country. And what True Sport's trying to do is promote the implementation and adoption of values in sport that can be transferred into the community. So in a way then, we're trying to say that sport is a public asset, and if people involved in sport can really promote the values that will help with the moral and character development of youth and to improve the quality of life in the community, then that's what we want. And this past weekend, there was a very important event take place in Sudbury. It was called the NOHA Summit, Chapter 1. And during that summit, I was quite impressed with the fact that speaker after speaker after speaker reiterated the values and principles that True Sport is trying to get people to adopt. And it was, things like fair play, respect for others, respect for the game, including everybody, trying to make sure that everybody had a chance to play, giving back to the community, and doing all of this while you're trying to be the best you can be in a sport that you love. Just made it very clear that everybody in the sport of hockey is trying to do what True Sport is all about. So I was not really surprised then when I heard an awful lot of comments that were coming up during the weekend as well, that indicated that just like the majority of Canadians, even though we're all trying to promote these values and principles, the majority of us are just not satisfied that we're reaching our full potential. And so something like the NOHA Summit Chapter 1 is a perfect example of how people who are really interested in promoting the game of hockey to young people are trying to do something to improve the game. So this afternoon, one of the first in our series of shows, we have two guests in the studio. We have Jim McLoughlin, who is from the Valley East Minor Hockey Association, but he's also the founder of the Renegades Athletic Association, which is well known out in the Valley and throughout the area. Jim, welcome to the studio. Welcome to Laurentian University.
Thank you, Bob. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So Jim is going to give his perspective on the summit because he was there. And we also have in the studio with us the chair of the organizing committee, Derek Erickson. And Derek, you are also a board member with Sudbury Minor Hockey, I believe?
That's correct, yes.
So Derek was the chair of the organizing committee and on the board of directors with Sudbury Minor Hockey, and it was Sudbury Minor Hockey that more or less got the ball rolling with the summit by raising the idea of even holding one. So let's start with that, Derek. Can you go back in time, think about why Sudbury Minor Hockey felt that you would like to have this and what you would hope to accomplish, and maybe sum up with what you think we've accomplished with the summit, and then we'll get into some specific details on a few of the areas that were discussed. Because it was an interesting weekend.
Yeah, first of all, just thank you, Bob, for inviting me to this radio broadcast.
Thanks for being here.
Good afternoon to all your listeners that definitely will have a vested interest in sport. Yeah, I'll go back and sort of give you a sort of an overview of how this first started. Talking with a lot of very, very quality hockey people and just quality people overall who I've met along the way since I've been in Sudbury, actually probably mentored me a little bit with respect to the politics of hockey in Sudbury, or the greater city of Sudbury. I didn't play my hockey, my minor hockey in the Sudbury area, so I came from a one association hockey program.
Where
And I was Pickering, Ontario.
Pickering.
Yeah, I played with Glenn Healy. You might know Heels.
Yeah.
And me and Glenn grew up together and played a lot of our minor hockey together. And we shared a fair bit of successes, in minor hockey. And of course, Glenn went on to play in professional hockey in the NHL. Had a pretty distinguished career. Pretty distinguished career for a guy who couldn't stop pucks. But anyhow, I was amazed when I first came to Sudbury in the early 80s how many hockey associations there were in the greater city. And I was a young fella at the time, and I was volunteering on some of the local playgrounds. And it was funny, I heard it was always, hockey's, Sudbury's a hockey town, and we've got a rich historic history in hockey, and I knew that coming up here. And I met Doug Bonhomme was a fellow that I met years ago, and Doug's well connected in the community. But it's interesting, there was a real passion for hockey, and I said, I think I found the right town to live in. But going back, I did join the Sudbury Minor Board about 4 years ago, and having discussions around the rink, inside, outside the rink, I found there was a bit of a disconnect, not only between the associations and the membership, but and as I spent time on the board at Sudbury Minor, between the actual associate member partners and the NOHA. The gap in understanding what each other are trying to accomplish. So having a discussion, meeting Bob Allen as well. Bob was pretty instrumental, and I want to acknowledge Bob Allen for being part of really the genesis of the NOHA Hockey Summit Chapter 1 that took place this past weekend. But yes, it was brought forth by Sudbury Minor. I spoke with Dennis Michelle, our president, and said, we really should get this to the membership. I think we have a great idea here. I think, if we put some water to it, it's going to grow as a seed. We've got a concept, and I think the time is right now. So we put it on the floor at the AGM in 2010, which was in Sudbury, and it went under general business. A proposal was tabled, and the membership voted to move it forward. So that was, sort of the first step in the creation of the summit. Shortly after, a committee was struck, and at the time there was, sort of who wanted, to be involved in this. We all knew it was going to be a huge amount of work. So shortly after the AGM, we did strike a committee, really made up of myself and Bob Allen, who are sort of outside the NOHA, but vice council directors and some people in the executive who said this is an initiative we want to see happen. And because they were hearing a lot of grief over the years from the members from all over the different 68 plus associations that are part of the NOHA across Northern Ontario. So they believed this was the right thing to do. A committee was struck, I think in around October 2010. We put together a group of, set of questions, and we sent that out through the NOHA to the members. What do you want? What do you envision a summit being? What do you think a summit should be about? What type of discussions? What are the topics? What are the key issues? So we had asked and engaged the membership to fill out the this sort of 2-page sort of letter with some key things. What do you do well as an association? Where are the challenges within your association? What do you need help in? And where can potentially the NOHA help you via these and through a summit? That was sent out in October. The responses came back, and after filtering that information, some key things started to come out of it. And those key things were, 3 pillars were really centered around, association's future. I mean, some associations are one person. You're
right.
One person, doing it all, and just burnout, and people getting older. The people in associations, are looking to do other things as they move into their retirement years. Their changes and needs are changing. So that was a real concern: is the association of futures. Where are the next group of volunteers coming from? Who are they? What do they look like? So that seemed to be a sort of resonate through those responses. And then of course, the other big pillar, so it was volunteerism and associations futures was in there. And then of course officiating. Need I say any more? I mean, that's always
Always a
been
good topic for discussion.
always a topic that's contentious, and you're going to get many varied opinions. So, yeah, officiating, the perspective, and not only just officiating the game and how the game's changing and how the rules are being forced, but I think a big part is, again, why are kids leaving? Why are people leaving the game? Another real, factor. We don't have officials, we don't have a game.
And then the player development was the third area that you got into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I saw was quite, and I like that from a teaching perspective, because that's my background, and I know, Jim, you've been involved at the house league level, I think, most of your career.
Most of it, yeah.
Like you've been at the rep level, but when you get into the house league and the entry level and initiation level, that's where development really starts. We're gonna discuss some of those three areas in
One
detail.
thing